there, beautiful goddess. I'm so excited to share this incredible piece of wisdom with you. And I promise that I'm going to be showing up authentic and poised and steeped in my power for you, so you can feel the immense resonance field behind all of this. Because what I'm going to share with you is going to be probably one of the most potent shares that I have come across. And I will give you the outlines as we move through it. But what I want you to really tune into here is the fact that this is, for sure a personal story, but there's something behind it. There's something, behind this outline. I almost want to say there's an energetic technology that actually has been laid into this field, within this story. And I promise you that I'm going to be sharing it from that place of, of poised power, because poised power, really, when it comes to talking about poised power and, the feminine, this isn't about force. This isn't about, the wailing and pain and, taking it as the holy grail, because I actually don't believe that you have to go through heartbreak, and I don't believe that you have to go through immense, amounts of pain and, deep shadow in order to really rise to the level of your soul's highest frequency. I actually don't believe it is a necessary path. And I know that, sometimes this seems to be the only way, but it actually isn't. And, this is really coming up to another surface level where we're actually seeing that our story, of course, has heartbreak. Of course, there's going to be, trauma involved. Of course, there's going to be suffering and pain, and there's going to be things that will be difficult. But that's just a sideline. It's not the main, it's not the main action giver of your transformation. It's not the main root or trigger point of where it is that you're going. And, as I will be unraveling this, this story for you, hopefully you will understand what I really mean by this. Because truly when it comes to this, feminine poison power, especially the dark feminine, it is about so many different things. It's not just one level, like the piece of the story that I'm going to be sharing with you will have something to do with this feminine energy frequency. But there's also going to be the outline of the masculine energy, right? It's going to be the feminine energy, but there's also the masculine energy, and how we use these different energetics and how we embody them really is the I almost want to say the light bulb that illuminates the room. And so when it comes to my money story, really like looking back into my money story and, the belief systems that I was carrying, and, let me just put this away. This, I actually grew up in comparison to the society where I was in. I grew up in a, rather modest, lifestyle. We weren't like super wealthy in terms of, how do I say it? In terms of the social standard that, that this country actually has where I live, which is Luxembourg right now. And I actually grew up here, and then I moved away from Luxembourg and I came back now. And, it is very different because, of course, whenever I would go back, and I had this duality aspect. I did have the aspect of, I'm from a modest family background. We don't have that much money. There's scarcity, there's lack. And then there was this huge comparison point that would come in and shift, at least once or twice a year when we would travel back to Portugal, which is where my parents were from and where I was born. I definitely had this, triggering perspective and this mind-boggling perspective to see that, well, actually the amount of money, it's not really what it's about here. And even though the amount of money was what people would see when we would go back home, that wasn't actually what it was about, here with this pain point and the suffering and, all the things that weaved into my money story. And so when it came to me actually moving, away from Luxembourg and going off to study and going off to London and, setting up my life, I still was carrying so much of this wounding. And I even was carrying, a huge program around don't show who you really are and where you're really from, because people will not understand it. People will not know how to position it in the right ways. They will have their own agenda with their own lifestyle and their own filter of the country that they live in and the place where they are and the things that are available to them. And gosh, this is so big. I have never actually shared this before because, I actually didn't think that it would matter, but really it does matter. And I feel like a lot of us actually do come into this world with this duality perspective, where we will have access to something, especially us women in this, in this world where we are right now. We will have access to things that when we actually travel and we go somewhere else, there's going to be a different, layout and a different availability to those people that we are going to be meeting. And so it somewhat puts us on this framework that we have to somewhat diminish who we are, and we have to somewhat hide, where we really are coming from, because people won't understand it. And let me tell you this right away, right? This isn't only about the privilege of having access to resources and education and freedom of expression and creativity and being who you are. This isn't just about this privilege scenario. It actually is about the natural abundance that is already available to us in the cosmic field. And so, there's this brainwash that, I was exposed to as well. And I'm sure that you have been exposed to this on a certain level as well, where, we believe only what we see, and we believe what we have been told, and we believe, this outer structure of what wealth is supposed to look like, and, the standard that this way of seeing things actually is being placed on. And so that's the standard that is being placed on us, from very young. And so we learn how to modulate our energy and how to modulate our thoughts and modulate our emotions, modulate our expression, modulate our shine and our radiance according to that standard. So wherever you will, whatever family situation you were born into, whatever social situation you were born into, whatever collective country or culture consciousness that you were born into, a standard has been placed for you. And so when it comes to this, dark feminine awakening, what it actually, the very first layer that will be peeled off, especially, if you relate to the term light worker, if you relate to the term healer, space holder, teacher, inspirational leader, like master, if you relate to these terms, or if you have set up your journey to be devoted and committed to your own spiritual development, and really developing the technology behind your spiritual gifts, and developing everything that really comes into being in order to facilitate your soul's highest mission on this planet, you will be placed face to face with this standard that has been set up for you, right? And you will be placed face to face with it, not because there's something wrong with it, but simply because you're having to learn what it is to have a standard set up for you, how to dismantle this standard and how to set a new one. And I feel like this is a theme, you know, going throughout all of leadership, all of the women who are really stepping into their leaders' shoes, because there's this dichotomy between this has been laid into my field, you know, through my upbringing, through my conditioning, through my social background, through my cultural background. This is the standard that I have received in order to play in. And when it comes to actually activating your soul's highest purpose, it is oftentimes about breaking this standard, not breaking as in, you know, going at it with full force and destroying it, but actually breaking through it and setting up a new standard when nobody has placed that standard before. And what this actually really brings up is all the wounding that comes with the programming, all the disconnect that we have, you know, believed, you know, that we are somewhat not allowed to break that. Because when we actually break through to a level where no one before us has actually stepped into, where no other person in our family lineage, in our social surroundings, in our cultural surroundings has actually stepped on that level, it'll feel super shaky. It'll feel super shaky for two reasons. One of the reasons is that often as women, we are conditioned into this people-pleasing, you know, submission, where we are going to be a good girl, we're going to be a good woman, we're going to be following those rules, and we're going to, you know, adapt and please those people who are surrounding us in order not to rock the boat. And the second one is, you know, this fact that if we actually opt out of the standard that has been laid out for us, on the regulations and the rules and all the things that have, you know, been placed into our field from very young onward, it actually places us in this field of like rejection, right? Being rejected by. And very often what I'm sensing, and this is something that is coming up to the surface for so many of my clients, and we actually work through this, it is really, so wait, so who actually set this standard? Why is it that you think that your business has to be run in this way? Why is it that you feel that, you know, you have to be like this and this and this in order to be a good wife, a good girlfriend, a good partner, a good mother, a good sister, a good friend, right? These are all, you know, standards. And these standards, when it comes to actually really bringing down our soul's divine gifts, very often are simply not enough, because when, you know, we can't play on the field of this third dimensional perspective where, you know, thoughts, regulations, belief systems, even educational pieces and the ways that we are supposed to lead our lives, like even all the things that seem to be very revolutionary, such as the feminist movement and all of these things, these are actually codes. They've all been blueprints that helped, you know, women break through certain patterns of revolution. But really, the standard that we, you know, are being invited to run by is actually the standard of us really stepping into our goddess essence. And the reason why I say goddess is not, you know, it's not some shiny pretty little thing. It's not this beautiful cute little goddess who's like, you know, wearing pretty things and putting on lovely jewelry. No, this is actually the dark feminine essence, where you're actually stepping into the divine receptivity gateways that are in alignment with your soul's highest mission and your destiny. And so the fortune that you're, you know, that you're available for on that standard of the cosmic love principle field, in this quantum field where, you know, the rules you play by are not the rules that have been laid into you by, you know, these third dimensional perspectives and structures. The game that we're really playing here is actually us really claiming and reclaiming and remembering that we are divine creators of our reality, and that, you know, by taking this claiming and this ownership of that frequency and that identification, really what we're playing at is this super high energetic frequency of responsibility, of leadership, of, you know, commitment, devotion, dedication, wealth and abundance, right? And we're actually opting into a level of receptivity that is very different, and the regulations and rules and laws and principles and codes and, you know, like light structures are very different on that level. So when it comes to really stepping into your powerful story, you know, really telling your story from this third dimensional perspective, which is, you know, simply what is going to be creating a reconnect. But really what it's always been about was about stepping onto this high frequency plane and lane where we are being guided to unravel our goddess essence, where we are being guided to unravel this new standard that is really there for us. And so from that place, there is no force and, you know, there's no force that is required, because you already are the force, you already are the power, you already are plugged into this stream of consciousness that is constantly creating, that is constantly birthing new things forth, that is constantly, you know, placing herself in this exuberant abundance. And one of the major pieces really here is that it's very little about doing, but it's about the energy that is backing this doing. It's about what is it that is actually holding you powerfully in this container, right? What is the structure that you have set yourself that is going to hold you so that you can actually allow this divine frequency liquid to actually pour in and have a place to land? And this really is, you know, where I want to bring you a piece of my money story in, because, you know, it's like there was always so much available for me on all these levels, but it never really found a place to land because I hadn't awakened yet to this dark feminine essence inside me. There was this embodiment piece that wasn't fully strengthened yet, where I was still operating on this level of I have to do certain things in order to receive money. So I was still operating on these rules and regulations and, you know, codifications and programs that had been laid into my field. And I was completely oblivious to my soul's divine purpose. Not that, you know, I didn't know that there was something higher above me and there was something much more powerful beyond me that was, you know, really guiding my journey, but I simply wasn't awakened to that consciousness yet, that I actually am a goddess and that I actually can tap into this dark feminine poise and power, and that the dark feminine poise and power is steeped into receptivity and actually creating a technological structure that is made of essence, that is made of energy, that is made of frequency, that is made of empowered embodiment, that is made of, you know, calibrations of thoughts, beliefs, emotions, that will actually create this third dimensional structure within my own body, within my life, within my relationships, where this divine receiving could actually land, where that, you know, that receiving isn't just something that is coming through you and moving in and, you know, going away again, but it actually is constantly coming in order to fuel this essence of like continuously lifting you up, you know, into your soul's highest purpose. And I really do believe that we are very often, you know, when we're creating things in the world, in this third dimensional space, we're often not awakened to that calibration yet of this fifth dimensional perspective actually being available for us right here, right now, and that this third dimensional structure is actually what is going to allow this super high soul frequency to have a place to land. And so even though I had all this wealth, you know, in my surroundings, I always had all this abundance in my surroundings. And, you know, even though I received all these structures within the third dimensional perspective, my third dimensional perspective was very much the one where, you know, I go to work, I work, you know, this many hours, I will get the money, and, you know, that money will then come back, and then I pay my bills, and then I, you know, so I can survive, so I can play in this field of operating like field of operation of this third dimensional perspective. And what I didn't realize until very late, like a lot later, was that this whole doing without the structure of my divine's purpose and without the understanding and the awareness that what I'm actually creating is a fertile ground for my soul's dreams to land, because I didn't have this awareness, it always felt like I was running on empty, that regardless of what I did and how much I did, and, you know, regardless of how many hours I worked and how many people I impacted, it always felt like this work has nowhere to land because there's nothing that is actually filling me up. I was disconnected from this higher, you know, this higher plane that was already available to me. It's just that I didn't see it, and because I wasn't aware of it, I couldn't call it in. So truly, the awakening of my dark feminine essence really kicked in on a full spectrum where, you know, I actually in the third dimensional plane really started to go through multiple scenarios where I was placing myself in a victim, like a victim framework, so that I could receive, because truly what I was craving, I was deeply craving to receive this divine love. And I was acting out because of this deep black hole in my heart that never felt like it could actually be met, that never felt like there was anything really that would be good enough for this to fill me, for this to fulfill me, right? So the fulfillment of my soul's highest mission was missing in that plane because I wasn't aware of the power and the structure that was actually backing me all along. And because I was cutting myself off of it, I just kept running in this hamster wheel, third dimensional perspective, and I just kept running on empty. It's like I was constantly leaking my life force energy. So this money that I was receiving, it only served the purpose of continuously feeding my ground so that I could survive. And really one of the things that happened to me was, you know, when I had the abortion in 2015, it actually awakened me to the fact that this physical body is actually receiving, you know, a creation, is receiving a divine creation that is coming in to awaken me to this purpose of what, you know, this body really is capable of. And it awakened me to a whole array of just different blueprints and new codes and new programs. And even though I didn't actually come to even though I chose and opted for the abortion because it wasn't the time, it's like even this baby and this beautiful you know, human to be had no place to land. Right? This structure of the survival mechanism led me to run so much on empty that even this life had no place to land, because all the actions and doings of my life were just, you know, worried around and entangled around this survival mechanism of barely making ends meet, of having a relationship that didn't actually fill my cup, of entertaining wounded dynamics within myself, with myself, with other people, right? That even though I had these big dreams, and even though there was this huge divine creation coming in, it had no place to land, right? And of course it would have had a place to land, and, you know, I simply opted for it because I actually didn't feel supported, right? So in all these years of doing and doing and doing, I didn't have an energetic structure to hold me, let alone hold me with another baby, right? Or hold me with human life. And this was such a huge awakening for me. It really cast a whole, you know, wave of, I almost want to say, of shock through my whole system. And, you know, this wave was a tough one in the beginning because it showed me all the ways, you know, even up till today, I'm still seeing patterns, right? All the ways on how I was dimming my divine essence, of how I was cutting myself off from spirit, of how I was entertaining toxicity and wounding and, you know, old programs that weren't serving neither myself nor those surrounding me, where I had opted into a life of safety and comfort because I didn't want to feel uncomfortable, right? Because I didn't want to feel the pain of having to rock the boat of, you know, my partner back at the time, back in the days, right? Where I was actually, you know, moving through depression. We had, you know, a lot of fights in this relationship, and, you know, I invited him to come into therapy containers with me, and, you know, I don't want to blame him for this, but it was just very clear that, you know, there was me taking on so much on my plate, right? And actually owning up to so much on my plate that I just couldn't handle it, right? I was taking on the holding and the giving in, you know, in this whole dynamic. And it never felt like I was being held and supported. And I don't think that this was his fault. This was simply a reflection of how unsupported and unheld I felt with this divine essence inside of me. And whew, this is so deep and so profound, because when women now come to me, you know, through my practice, and when even, you know, good friends come to me, and they're, you know, modulating themselves through this third dimensional perspective where they're constantly, you know, running from job to job. They're running from business to business. They're entertaining wounded relationships with partners, with family, with clients even, right? They're selling themselves too short. They're operating from this level of, you know, non-integrated divine essence of this goddess frequency inside of their lives. Well, of course, they're going to be running on empty. And very often, the very moment when they actually, you know, press the red button of, I actually need help, is when they're almost suffocating, is when, you know, they've come to this place where there's no more room for them. There's no more time to, there's no more breath left. There's nothing left for them to, you know, be nourished by and to be supported through. And, you know, it feels like this running on this desperation wheel is taking up so much space in their head that they never actually land inside their physical bodies, right? This is, I've had another woman coming to me, you know, a few years ago, and we've been working together like on and off, and there's been, you know, moments in her life where there's been so much physical pain that has been moving out. Well, very often when this physical pain is moving out, or when we're putting on a lot of weight, or when we're, you know, moving into these positions where our physical bodies are drained and they're hurting and there's so much pain coming out, it is, you know, on a deeper sense and a deeper level, it is this operation mechanism in this wounded feminine and wounded masculine way, where we are only operating on this third dimensional plane and there's nothing else in our awareness, right? And so the minute we then come into awareness and we hit a first level of success, and we hit a first dream that comes in, and, you know, we launch our business and so on and so on, when we're actually feeling one first layer of help and support coming in, what will happen is not relief immediately, is not, you know, high love and like super high inspiration immediately. What often occurs is that's the moment when the pain actually will come up and show, and then they come up to me and say, Lizzie, I don't understand why suddenly I'm in all this physical pain. Like, my business has been, you know, hitting 10K last month. Why is it that my pain is so big in my body? I just signed a 2K client. This is the highest level ever that I've signed somebody on into a package, and I feel like I just want to die, right? It is because we have run this body on this wounded feminine and wounded masculine dynamic for so long that you know, the survival mechanism has been so acute and so, you know, intense that it will not allow us to go into the pain and the suffering and the trauma immediately, because it's actually it's a self-preservation mechanism. And this is really what was happening to me, is that when this abortion came through for me and I had to make this decision and understand, like, I am, you know, in depression, I'm just barely, you know, peeking through this here of why I keep entertaining this relationship with this man where I know that this isn't in alignment, and where I was just barely peeking through the veil of how many lies I had been entertaining in my own life, that when this really came in, it was almost like this was like the cherry on the cake going, so are we ready to awaken now? Are we ready to do this now? Are we ready to leap now? Are we ready to claim a new level of standard, right? Rather than running by some standard that has been placed into our lives because we've been told and we've been, you know, believing even that this is the way that we're supposed to be living our lives. Like, if you're still watching now, whew, if you're still watching and you've been sensing that there's, you know, been these patterns that you have been entertaining in your life, like, let this be a wake-up call. Like, don't let it come to this huge pitfall and this deep, you know, like this deep, painful hole where it'll be you pressing the red alarm because that's the last button you have left on your keyboard there, right? And I mean, I received so many messages way before that. I received so many people coming in as signs and, you know, earth angels literally calling me out of my own hole, right? Going, Lizzie, what are you doing, right? It's huge. And the thing is, I wasn't capable of seeing it because I had, like, my third dimensional field had no place where this divine messaging and this divine guidance could land. And, you know, from that place, you know, 2016 really was my well, it was it 15? No, 2016 was when I had the abortion. Within that same month, I invested in a program to launch my business, to learn how to become a digital nomad, to learn all the ins and outs of, you know, business strategies. And now that I'm looking back, I'm like, that's actually what I needed at that time. It was this masculine structure that, you know, is steeped in a position, right? It was this very first investment with poise and power that I made. Like, this was my whole month's salary. I had, you know, put some savings on the side, and I even overstretched, you know, my risk for the following month on this. But very quickly things started to align, and I manifested another side gig on I think it was like a dance gig that I landed, and, you know, it then opened up some other things. But it's like that was the very first poised investment that I made, from that place of, I know this is serving a higher purpose. I know that this is a risk. I know that this is a stretch, but I will never forget that moment when I pulled that card out and I, you know, typed in the number, and I really had this energy backing me, right? I called it in. Like, I had already been working in the spiritual field for a while, and this just really goes to show that we do need some initiations through this, you know, because it's good to have the concept, but the embodiment piece is where it actually, you know, this is really what I help women with. I help them create the third dimensional structure that will actually allow this to land, that will allow the intuition to land, that will allow the divine guidance to land, because I've led myself through this, right? I was the very first investment that I made in that field, and the very next year I invested, I actually began to orientate my money in that direction where I trust that this intuition, if it's coming in now, this money is going to be aligning with my intuition. This money is aligning with my soul's highest purpose. This money is aligning with love, with gratitude. This money is my way of making a statement of my own masculine force field to protect and honor and lift my inner feminine. And so, you know, very shortly afterwards, I had a breakup with this partner. We parted ways. You know, I found a way somehow to, you know, rent an extra room in my apartment to just, you know, make another year. I had, you know, it's like really that's when my financial status started to skyrocket. I was just being, you know, booked right, left, and center. And that's because when we make these aligned choices and these aligned decisions, and we understand that if we have no place in our third dimensional realm for the fifth dimensional plane perspective to land, and when we make decisions from that place that we are actually moving the Malians like on a chessboard, we're moving it with strategy and structure, fully steeped and, you know, in this knowing that there's this energetic technology available to us in order to bring and birth a life's highest, like biggest dreams. That's when things start to really rumble in the energetic realm. And that, in my opinion, is how my money story really began to, you know, receive a twist of poise and power, not from force, but actually from divine alignment, where it is already held, it is already received, it is already, you know, it has already landed, right? And if this money is available to me now for me to invest, and if I can back it with this poised, powerful, you know, feminine goddess energy on top of it, like every time I make an investment and I really bring my feminine energy force field online with this is when these investments will come threefold and fourfold. And it's not that I'm making them because I know they will come back in money. It's I'm making them because I know this investment is going to propel something in my reality that isn't that isn't going to be accessible for me in any other means. It is a portal. It is a portal of initiation. It is a portal of saying yes to the things you're available for, right? And so I did promise a masterclass on, you know, on Black Friday, but I feel like there's a codification that I'm teaching here in this exact video that is going to bring you so much more, because this whole Black Friday vibe, right, where, you know, people are making all these offers and all of it, this is actually the moment for us to realize, like, you know, if you're selling a product, or if you're offering a product, like, honestly, is this product in alignment with your own soul's highest mission? Is this what you've come here for? Are you offering it from this place where your feminine energy is backing your masculine moves, right? And your masculine energetic moves? And if you're, you know, looking to invest in offers, like, let's be straight here. We are here as divine light beings. We're light workers. We are goddesses. We're priestesses. We're teachers. We're, you know, leaders. We are educators. We're bringing our soul's divine gifts into this planet right here at this particular moment in history. Let's just get this straight here, right? Like, your divine gifts are serving the planet, right? And whether you are choosing to make an offer to your community for them to jump and leap and take quantum leaps into their divine purpose, because, you know, divine purpose really is always steeped in service, not servitude, right? We're not underselling, we're not undermining, we're not manipulating. This is actually of high service. Your gifts can be packaged up in a brilliance where your high service is coming through, is shining through, and you do not need to use force. You can do this in a feminine, empowered, and poised way. And if you want to, go deeper into this, we can talk about this, how we can work one-on-one together, and how we can really rebrand your structure around something that is going to be serving and supporting you, where, these divine gifts actually have a place to land, and they have a structure through your brand, through your offers, through your client relationships, through all the things, or whether you're actually looking to invest in an empowered and poised way, then it's all a cycle, and it's an upward cycle, and it's an upward spiral. If we actually make investments from that place where we understand that this is actually serving my soul's highest mission, and it is serving the alignment and the frequency on the planet, right? And so really, when I'm moving my money and my funds, and when I'm moving money in specific directions in my different accounts, and when they come in on that account and they go out on that account, I always link it with this divine feminine frequency of joy, of bliss, of desire, of elevated, exuberant, erotic, sensual abundance. Like, I have to feel the embodiment of my own goddess frequency every time I'm making these masculine moves, because money really is an extension of masculine energy. Money is an extension of this divine God essence, and it wants to support you. And if you let it support you, and when you have the awareness that it is here to support you and your dreams and all the people who come into your field, and that you can use it almost as a tool of re-educating yourself into new programs, new beliefs, new standards that you're making because you are steeped into your poised power as a goddess, things just shift from here. This is why, when my clients come into my field, especially like this past year, they've been skyrocketing their income streams. Like, I had clients going through 10K months for 7.5K months for the very first time, attracting 8,000 euros of funding for their performances. Even I had a woman who inherited. She was the only one who got chosen by her grandmother to inherit all of this grandmother's possessions. And there was so many other people that this grandmother could have offered it to her, but she put every single possession under this woman's name. I mean, this is such powerful alignment, because when you really step into the responsibility, frequency of what your soul's dreams actually mean, not just for you, but actually what they mean for the collective and for the planet and all the things around that, and you're crystal clear on this within your own embodiment, that you are the embodied goddess essence walking in this life as this exuberant, overflowing, abundant, sensual, awakened woman in your poise and in your power. And if you make that new standard and commitment from that place, and you align all your masculine energetic principles according to this feminine standard, the sky's the limit from here. You are a cosmic love in motion. There's no denial around this. And so the dark feminine, really the reason why we call it the dark feminine, it is because she is so empty that all she has to do is to receive. And so there's actually one of the tools that I've normally only shared in my everlasting program, but I will, just give you a very quick outline of what this is. It really is about letting yourself run empty, completely empty. And there's different ways on how you can take this, but can you let yourself run completely empty right here, right now, without it scaring you, without it, shaking you up, without it making you go into erratic frenzy, without it triggering you? That is the power of the dark feminine essence, right? And I'm so excited If you're wanting to know more about this, there's the Everlasting program. You can go and, you can go purchase that right away. I mean, there was an offer where I was giving, a 3-month coaching with that. That's, now only available if you're going to be, you can just message me if you want to know about how to unlock this. But you can go and actually take this Everlasting program. It's going to be really giving you the structure of the divine masculine. And if you want to understand the deeper connections with the divine feminine blueprint, there's the Goddess Mastery course and there's the Cosmic Goddess course. The Cosmic Goddess course really is the embodiment structure. This is really like all my private clients will get access to this course because it's one of the most potent courses that I have created when it comes to really dismantling and breaking down the different pieces of the feminine energy, where we are acting and operating from this survival mechanism, sometimes, without our actual understanding and consciousness. But really recognizing, when you recognize something, you can shift it. If you don't know that it's there and that it's operating, then it's very hard to shift. So it gives you this outline on how to lead yourself. You can actually take the course in your own time, but it basically gives you an energetic map of how to position yourself in an empowered stance every time that codependency shows up, every time that triggers come up, every time that, people come at you with wounded essence, wounded energies, every time that you see things show up that, feel like they're actually putting you off, and, how to really recognize them as, is this actually a program of the past because I haven't fully integrated this, or is this simply, an invitation for me to go to the next level? So the Cosmic Goddess program really gives you that outline, and it goes fully in depth into the dance manifestation process as well as the dance metamorphosis process that I developed over the years. And, I actually shared it as a tool in this course. I fully pieced it out. So you have all the different, energetic blueprints. You have the scientific background that really backs this knowledge. You have the energetic frequency. You have the emotional release tools. You have the physical embodiment tools. Like, all of it is actually a part of the dance manifestation, because I believe that when we have access to all this wisdom and this these different modalities and technologies of elevating our frequency, when we bring that into dance manifestation, that's when dance manifestation becomes dance manifestation, and not just, a simple practice of dance where you just move a little bit of your energy. When you know and understand how to direct and reorientate energy in a specific way, that's when your soul's divine gifts really start to have a place to land. And it often begins with our awareness. When we have the awareness that this is all available and possible for us, that's it. You tap into your creativity and you fly with it. Literally, that's what the women who come, have come and taken this program do. They come, they receive, they use it, they practice it, they run with it, and they master it for the rest of their lives. And things start to show up in their lives with, they start to have awareness around why triggers are showing up, why pain is showing up, why trauma is suddenly coming up to the surface, and they know how to deal with it without shrinking their frequency, where they can receive at higher and higher levels, right? And Everlasting really is a program to walk you through this third dimensional perspective where triggers show up, where, obstacles will come up, where you actually strengthening and fortifying the masculine, the divine masculine essence within you. So those two programs, really, they combine so well with one another, because one really gives you that, feminine essence. There's also some teachings on the masculine energy so that you can recognize when you're operating from the masculine force field. And the divine feminine really is the major focus here, so that you can tap into feminine magnetism and really start to attract things from that feminine energy, where you're receptive for what is there and what is available to you, and you're opening yourself up for this higher frequency. And the Everlasting course really is about setting powerful standards and moving and shifting and shape-shifting your own poised masculine moves with this understanding of the feminine blueprint, without you needing to go into pushing and shoving and hustling and forcing your way through to success, where actually, you know, it simply becomes a manifestation of your frequency. It becomes a reflection of where you are standing. So those two programs really are super exciting to join if that's something that you're wanting to do. If you know, you have more questions around this, or if you want to know how to sign up, just send me a private message. I have some coaching packages opening now. This is going to be an extra, like, these are some premium packages that I'm developing at the moment. But yeah, if you're messaging me before the end of December, before they actually go out, you will actually get that at a better rate. But regardless, even if you're watching this in December, just reach out. I always have things going on, and I'm also planning on offering a group coaching group coaching journey that's going to be I haven't decided on the length yet, but it's going to be a minimum of a 6-month container, maximum of a one year container. So if that's something that is calling to you, you know, if you have a smaller budget every month, but you know that, you know, you're really here to make a difference and to create long-lasting transformation inside your own life. And if you know that, you know, you're here for the consistency aspect, you're here because you're here to stay, like your dreams are here to stay. If you know and you feel this, that, you know, this level of transformation is going to be really catered all over along an extended period of time, so that you have time to embody, you have time to ask your questions, you have time to you know, really master this and continuously bring yourself on this lane, then I invite you to send me a private message as well. So there's so many different options on how we can work together, and I'm so excited. If you're feeling the pull to this, I'd be more than happy to support you on this journey, and yeah, and create some magic with you in your feminine poised power. This is really, I feel like this is my life's journey. I'm here to stay on that path. You know, I have so many different things that are available to me. And, you know, all this wisdom that I'm constantly upgrading myself. Like, I'm working with 2 coaches at the moment, actually preparing myself to leap into a new one-on-one container with a 3rd coach. Like, I'm constantly being supported because I know that that's the way that I love to operate. I love to be the one giving and, you know, nourishing and expressing myself and inspiring. But I also know that I need my own containers and my own places where I can break down the pieces, and where I can calibrate to people who are further ahead of me in certain levels, because I just love that. I love to have people that inspire me in my force field. It really is my way of like dealing with this energetic frequency of money in the highest and most aligned way. And this was a huge healing thing for me as well, and I will leave you with this very specific detail. Is it used to trigger me so bad, you know, to have you know, to see this line of coaches coaching coaches to coach coaches. And what I've realized is this isn't some kind of crazy fancy MLM where you're trying to get things from others. This is about your soul's highest alignment and frequency. And this is really what that operation system is about. We're not operating on this lack consciousness and, like, you know, take without giving. We're operating on this force field of exuberant abundance, exuberant generosity, exuberance on all levels, so that our, you know, inner goddess can really come out as this poised, powerful being. And when she does, you know, it serves everyone. And, you know, there's no lack at all. You know, I have some friends and clients who are also in the orbit of the coaches that I work with. And, you know, in the beginning, it used to to feel so off for me. But now I'm like, no, this isn't off at all. Like, we're here to rise together. This is a soul's highest mission. And, you know, the quicker we can get ourselves on the highest frequencies possible, the easier it's going to be for everyone and everything involved on this journey. And I truly believe that every woman is here to dance her way to her dreams, and, you know, to not have to stress about and to, you know, drain herself. We're here to really create next level magic, next level paradigm shifts, next level, you know, frequency, next level technologies and energetic blueprints to facilitate the liberation of this feminine, divine feminine frequency on the planet. Like, it's been calling for so many years, and we're so privileged to walk this earth at this particular moment in time. So, my lovely goddess, thank you so much for tuning in and for watching. Let me know if you have any questions around this. I'd be more than happy to, just continue this conversation with you. And I wish you a beautiful day wherever you are, and I will speak to you soon.